Deputy Brown sharing with Deputy O'Loughlin.
Yeah, I'm starting and I'll be sharing my time with Deputy Brown. Minister, can I say at the onset that Fianna Fáil will certainly be supporting this bill, and we will work to strengthen the measures that are outlined within it at committee stage. When we look at statistics that were published by the Central Statistics Office for recorded instances of sexual offences in Q1 2018 compared to Q1 2017, we see sadly that there is a 10.6% increase in recorded sexual offences, and this makes sexual offences one of the highest percentage increases in all recorded crime, and this is both sad and shocking. And keep in mind that the actual number of incidences is more likely higher than the indicated rate, due to the fact that rates of reporting sexual crimes such as rape and sexual abuse are extremely low in this country. This trend of under-reporting is largely because the victims of these heinous crimes are left in a state of fear. Fear that our criminal and legal system will fail them, fear that their perpetrator will avoid a just sentencing, and a fear that they themselves, the victim, will be put on trial. And we've certainly seen this over the last 12 months. And this bill is certainly to be welcome. It's a welcome step towards taking away that fear from the victims. Establishing consistency in courts in regard to sexual offences is a vital step that we should have taken long ago. This bill will help assure victims that there are strong standards of justice that we hold everybody to account to. This bill, of course, is calling also for a long overdue establishment of a judicial sentencing commission that would prepare sentencing guidelines for the judiciary, and again, this is a provision that we welcome. And I say also, Minister, that the State must provide the adequate resources to the Office for Internet Safety within the Department of Justice, knowing that they will be able to effectively target those abusers who use computers and smartphones to commit their crimes. Prioritising post-release of supervision of convicted sexual offenders is another important aspect that has been overlooked in the past. Victims, as well as those convicted, need to know that we have not forgotten about them, and that we hope to keep society informed and safer because of this. The provisions in the bill will no doubt mean more stringent sentences for repeat sex offenders. Sexual offences are among the most abhorrent of crimes, and so this is very much welcomed. The leniency of sentences handed down to persons in the past convicted of sexual offences are consistently in the headlines, and rightly so in my view. And the public is rightfully disgusted and angered about this. And behind the headlines are victims who are left feeling totally devastated by the system, and they're completely negatively impacted once again. And there is no doubt, and it's only right to say, that lenient sentences can have a real and damaging impact on survivors and can deter others from reporting offences. And that's, Minister, if you want to listen to me. While increased sentences for these awful crimes is welcomed, the failure of this government to establish a sentencing commission means that even when this legislation is in place, there will continue to be huge inconsistencies handed down in cases of this nature. In April 2018, we call Ms Justice Una Rafferty in sentencing a man convicted of the repeated rape of his granddaughter, who described the lack of rape sentencing guidelines as somewhat bizarre. And she specifically pointed to the fact that while there was a lot of authority as to general sentencing principles, there was very little in the way of actual figures to guide her in making her decision. In 2013, Fianna Fáil published a bill calling for the establishment of a judicial sentencing commission that would prepare sentencing guidelines for the judiciary. This also formed part of our own manifesto in the 2016 general election. Similar bills have followed from other parties. But despite paying lip service to the need for consistency in sentencing, the Government has repeatedly failed to prioritise legislation of this nature. Judges, victims groups and opposition parties are all in unison for calling for this legislation. It's impossible to understand why the Government is dragging its feet on such an important issue. I also want to note that the bill also equalises the maximum penalty for incest by both males and females of or above 17 years of age at 10 years imprisonment, and that's to be welcome. Sadly, we have to acknowledge that crimes of a sexual nature are on the increase in Ireland, and repeat offences are on the rise in Ireland. And we owe it to the people of Ireland to prioritise this bill and to start gaining the trust of the victims. They must know that parents convicted of sexual offences will not be handed lax sentences. They must know that we here in this House hear them, and that we will take a strong, unified stance against all crimes of a sexual nature, and you will not find Fianna Fáil wanting in terms of helping and supporting that. Gurv Mahagat.